Good evening. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a preview of some of today's top stories. First Republic Bank is back in the headlines as the regulators sold the bank over the weekend. We have more on the deal and what this now means for customers. In North Bay, a driver fell hundreds of feet down a ravine. But luckily, several agencies worked together to lift the driver back to safety. Lawmakers are busy introducing more bills. One recently proposed a bill would raise teachers' pay by 50% over the next 7 years. First up, the State Air Resources Board met and passed last Friday a proposal banning the sale of the new diesel big rigs by 2036. The unprecedented rules also require large companies to convert their existing trucks to zero emissions by 2042. This is all part of the state's aggressive plan to eliminate gas emissions by 2045. Supporters praise the first-in-the-nation move, but critics of the plan say the power grid is not ready to support such a large number of electric vehicles. Trucking companies and local government officials have also called the deadlines unachievable.
JPMorgan Chase will be taking over all deposits and most of First Republic's assets. The Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation, or FDIC, says California regulators have closed First Republic and appointed JPMorgan Chase as receiver. First Republic Bank's 84 branches in 8 states will reopen Monday as branches of JPMorgan Chase. First Republic has struggled since the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and Signature Bank in early March. It received a lifeline of $30 billion from the nation's largest banks, but that proved not to be enough. Investors and depositors grew increasingly concerned that the bank might not survive. Because of its high amount of uninsured deposits and exposure to low interest rate loans, it was seen as the most likely to fail next. The company reported its total deposits fell 41% in the first quarter, and that depositors pulled more than $100 billion out of the bank in April. Jeremy Sandberg, NTD News.
Also back in the headlines is a Whole Foods in San Francisco. Workers say they were under a lot of pressure just before the store closed down over safety concerns, just a year after opening. Employees were regularly threatened with weapons, and records show 568 emergency calls to the Market Street store. Those included chaotic vagrants throwing food, yelling, engaging in fights, and attempting to defecate on the floor. One call said, "Male with a machete is back." Another said, "Security guard was just assaulted." Yet another call reported that the security guards at the store were assaulted by a man armed with a knife, who then sprayed employees with a fire extinguisher. Speaking of public safety and crime, 2 people were killed over 3 days in separate stabbings in the small college town of Davis, just in the suburbs of Sacramento. Investigators has yet to confirm if the crimes are related.
2 murders shocked the quiet town of Davis over the weekend. One was a 20-year-old UC Davis student identified as Kareem Abu Najm. Police responded to Sycamore Park at around 9:15 p.m. on Saturday night and found him with multiple stab wounds. Police described the suspect to be light-skinned, possibly Hispanic, with long curly loose hair and 19 to 23 years of age. Investigators have arrested a suspect who closely matches the description and booked the suspect into the Yolo County Jail. Najm was set to graduate this spring and was a 2020 alumnus from Davis Senior High. The Yolo County coroner also identified a 50-year-old named David Bro. The city held a vigil for him on Sunday night. Police found him deceased with multiple stab wounds in Central Park in downtown Davis at around 11:20 a.m. on April 27th. Bro was known by locals as Compassion Man. In a statement, the mayor said, "Many of us knew David. We talked with him. We shared in his vision for a kinder world. We connected on what it means to be human and humane. David was gentle and kind, soft-spoken and thoughtful, brilliant and selfless. He will be missed." He was a Stanford University graduate and wrote a book on compassion. The mayor said there will be extra police officers stationed around schools and parks. Authorities have not concluded if the 2 stabbings were linked, and the motives remain unclear.
In North Bay, several agencies worked together to tend to a cliff rescue. They pulled the driver up from a ravine several hundred feet below.
A driver is recovering from major injuries after plunging over a cliff last Friday night. Numerous Marin County agencies responded to a vehicle accident in the area of Ridgecrest Drive on Mount Tampalias. The vehicle was found about 530 feet down a ravine, but a large tree stopped it from falling further. 3 U.S. Air Force airmen saw the accident and made their way down to provide first aid as more help arrived. The Marin County Fire Department and 2 helicopters later arrived at the scene. They carried the patient in a stretcher and transported to a local trauma center with major injuries.
Meanwhile, at the state capitol, an assembly member is proposing to give statewide teachers a 50% raise over the next 7 years. This comes after Los Angeles Unified School District and the teachers union just recently reached a tentative agreement that includes a 21% raise. California Assembly member Al Miratsuchi introduced the bill AB 930A, which proposes a 50% pay increase by 2030.
Schools across the state are facing a workforce crisis, with many teachers and school employees unable to afford to live in the communities that they work in.
The bill aims to address the teacher workforce shortage and attract younger people to teaching jobs.
Data shows that teachers earn 23.5% less than their similarly educated peers. In countries like Finland and Singapore, teacher salaries are competitive with jobs in engineering, law, and business. And nearly 2/3 of young adults recently surveyed cite pay as one of the top 3 reasons why they are not interested in going into the teaching profession.
The bill doesn't require school districts to spend additional state funding on increasing salaries, but it will establish targets for the state grant to be increased by 50% by fiscal year 2030 and 31. It will also require school districts to report their progress in meeting the 50% increase in salaries over a 7-year period. According to the data provided by the California Department of Education, the average salary of public school teachers in 2020 and 21 for the state of California was $85,856. That is over $20,000 above the national average. 5 California ports have signed an agreement to form the California Port Data Partnership. They say this collaboration aims to advance computerized and cloud-based data capabilities and improve efficiency. Ports of Los Angeles, Long Beach, Wainimi in Ventura County, Oakland, and San Diego will work together and share resources to advance port data system development. According to a statement from the Port of LA, the ports will jointly advance computerized and cloud-based data interoperability with a common goal of supporting improved freight system resilience, goods movement efficiency, emissions reduction, and economic competitiveness. Officials said the project received a $27 million grant from the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development. Lieutenant Governor Eleni Kounalakis called the partnership a, quote, historic agreement that establishes a first-of-its-kind collaborative data system between all our states' containerized cargo ports. Port of LA Executive Director Gene Soroka and Port of Long Beach Executive Director Mario Cordero both emphasized the importance of utilizing data to create a more efficient supply chain. Representatives from the 5 ports and state officials have been meeting bi-weekly to hash out the details of this collaborative effort. We'll take a short break now, but here's a look at what we have for you when we come back. More companies are announcing layoffs. This time, Dropbox and Lyft say the reduction will allow them to invest the money elsewhere. Driving, flying, and working machines filled an airport in a California coastal town over the weekend. Enthusiasts and collectors displayed their prized possessions for people to see. And Yosemite has now reopened following flood warnings that closed the park over the weekend. Park officials are still asking visitors to remain cautious. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today. I'm your host, David Zhang. More companies have announced layoffs. Both Dropbox and Lyft say they will be reducing their workforce to invest the money elsewhere.
Cloud storage provider Dropbox said on Thursday it would reduce its global workforce by 16% to cut costs amid slowing cloud growth. Instead, it will hire new talent to build its AI offerings. The San Francisco-based company is the latest in tech to tap AI as big tech players from Microsoft to Facebook parent Meta battle for a slice of the fast-growing market with new products and offerings. Dropbox's CEO, Drew Houston, said the company's cloud business growth was slowing down, making some of its profitable investments no longer sustainable. At the end of 2022, the company had over 3,100 full-time employees. Most were located in the U.S. The company said it had shifted some employees from one team to another to focus on its AI projects, but would need more talent with a different mix of skill sets. Similarly, Lyft also announced a second round of layoffs on Thursday. The ride-hailing firm will cut about 26% of its workforce. Its new CEO, David Risher, took over earlier this month. He intended to, quote, significantly cut jobs without providing the number of jobs that would be affected. This will incur about $41 million to $47 million in costs related to severance and employee benefits in the second quarter. Lyft said the money saved from job cuts will be used to support service-level improvements for riders and drivers.
On Sunday, crowds of enthusiasts and collectors flocked to Half Moon Bay Airport. The Pacific Coast Dream Machine fundraiser returned after 3 years. It showcased about 2,000 driving, flying, and working machines from the 20th and the 21st centuries. NTD's David Lamb hears from some of the professional collectors.
This was the marine, these came out of boats. So this is kind of just a nice little running engine.
47-year-old Robbie Peter has been collecting engines since 14 years old. He now has tons of them from the 1900s. This is only a small part of his collection he's showcasing at the annual Pacific Coast Dream Machine in Half Moon Bay.
Are these all gas powered? Yeah, everything we have here today is gasoline or propane because the oil fields, they had natural gas. There was a byproduct coming out of the ground, so they basically had natural gas where we have to run it on propane.
Hobbyists and collectors alike share and trade parts to fix their engines because he says you can't get the parts from a regular auto parts store. How does he collect and expand his collection? It comes down to luck, he says.
Like earlier today, a guy came to me and said, hey, I have an old hammer mill. I want it to go to a good home. So he actually gave it to us I'm going to restore it when I get it.
The craft holds a special place in his heart.
Unfortunately, there's not as many younger generation that are collecting because I don't know if they have the interest, but I believe everything revolves, and eventually we will get a younger generation to come back and start collecting when I'm old.
What kind of steam engine are we looking at here?
This was a simple logging steam donkey, and it was built in 1903. And so it was used to haul logs in the woods from where they were cut down to a landing where they could be loaded on a train.
I love the loud planes. It's neat. The little ones that you see taking off here all the time don't make quite that much noise, so it's cool to hear the loud engines and check it out. There's some cool like military vehicles here, and this like the bomber-looking airplanes are cool. So yeah, it's been fun.
Even at this festival, you get a chance to ride on World War II vehicles. And it's from the American Armory Museum, and it's the first time arriving at this festival.
One collector wanted to support veterans and show people what soldiers went through.
What got me into the military collecting is one, I believe in our military. Although I was never in the military, I support our military. You get excited about bringing back history. If you're a history buff and you love history, it's nice to drive the real thing.
This is General Patton's actual Jeep.
The war, like cars and the airplane, lots of the war stuff was really cool because my dad was in the army, so it reminded me of. And my grandpa was in the army. Yeah.
And what about you? What did you like the most?
I liked when we went in the jumpy house and we sticked our head in the airplane.
This is the Dream Machine's 30th year, making a return from a 3-year hiatus out of the pandemic.
I like it a lot.
Yeah, it was fun.
Yes.
Part of the history. That Humvee is part of history. Yes. Yeah. It was in the real World War.
That's the variety of this show. It's the only show like it in the world. You know, there's a lot of car shows around, there's a lot of airplane shows around, but there's nothing that combines everything.
From this, we've gotten into the technology we have now, and so it's still good for me to know about it because I think it's relevant for learning new stuff and keeping the old stuff going.
The annual event sends its proceeds to nonprofits like the Coastside Adult Health Center.
It's a nonprofit that takes care of about 50 older folks who can't take care of themselves. And we take care of them for 4 hours a day. And this is our biggest fundraiser, the Dream Machine.
Reporting in Half Moon Bay, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
And some good news to wrap up the evening. Temporarily closed parts of Yosemite Valley has reopened earlier than expected after fears of flooding receded. Park officials still ask people to remain cautious and avoid getting too close to rivers.
Yosemite Valley has fully reopened as of May 1st at 7 a.m. Eastern Yosemite Valley, which is home to Yosemite Falls and Half Dome, closed last Friday night and was expected to stay closed until this Wednesday. The initial closures came after warnings of potential flooding in the area as warmer weather melted record snowfall in the Sierra Nevada mountains. But even as the park reopens earlier than expected, park officials encourage visitors to stay cautious. Park officials wrote on Twitter, "Rivers are running very high and are extremely dangerous. Do not go into or even approach rivers in Yosemite."
Now let's check in with NTD's Tyler Castillo for our sports roundup.
Stephen Curry scored a playoff career-high 50 points in a historical Game 7 performance. Curry sent Golden State into the Western Conference semifinals with a 120-100 win against the Sacramento Kings in Sunday's winner-take-all Game 7. Stephen Curry led a memorable comeback in the series to perhaps improbable even for the defending champions when they got down 2-0 and given their road woes all season. Curry's points are the most in NBA history in a Game 7, topping former teammate Kevin Durant's 48 for the Nets against Milwaukee in 2021. Kevon Looney grabbed 21 rebounds for a Warriors team that needed to win twice on the road facing the state capital to become the first reigning champion to drop the first 2 games and win any postseason series. Now, Curry and the Warriors get set to take on LeBron James and the Los Angeles Lakers in the semifinals, with a boatload of NBA Finals history between James and Golden State, which dates back to his Cleveland days. Game 1 is Tuesday night at the Chase Center. Anthony Davis had 16 points and 14 rebounds, while blocking 5 shots and dominating the paint. D'Angelo Russell scored a career playoff high 31 points, and LA completed its first round upset of the Grizzlies, netting a 125-85 victory in Game 6 on Friday night. LeBron James scored 22 points on 9 of 13 shooting for the 7th-seeded Lakers, who clinched a playoff series in their own arena for the first time since 2012. The Lakers won all 3 of their home games in the series, and the final victory was a scary demonstration of their capabilities when James and Davis are both healthy alongside their full supporting cast. Russell's 5 3-pointers highlighted a slick offensive effort from a late-blooming team with championship aspirations. The Lakers took a 20-point lead in the first half and went up by 36 in the third quarter before coasting to a victory in front of a sellout crowd. James and Davis even got to sit out the entire fourth quarter, preserving their legs for the second round. Matt Carpenter capped a 3-run bottom of the 8th with a 2-out, 2-run double to short center off the glove of a diving Mike Yastrzemski, giving San Diego a come-from-behind victory over San Francisco and a sweep of the 2-game series played in Mexico City. Luis Garcia pitched 2 scoreless innings for the Padres to earn the win. Josh Hader pitched a perfect 9 to earn its 10th save, and Padres pitchers retired 18 of the last 21 Giants they faced. Tyler Rogers took the loss, but solo homers by Lamonte Wade Jr., J.D. Davis, and Mitch Haniger helped the Giants forge a 4-0 lead against Padres right-handed starter Yu Darvish in the first 4 innings. Giants starter Alex Cobb held the Padres scoreless over the first 4 innings, giving up 3 hits plus hitting a batter. The Padres then pulled to within a run by scoring 3 in the 5th. Padres 6, Giants 4. Kyler Yamamoto scored within 3 minutes left, and visiting Edmonton held on to eliminate LA with a win in Game 6 of a first-round Western Conference playoff series. Clem Costin had 2 goals and an assist. Connor McDavid and Yamamoto each had a goal and an assist, and Stuart Skinner made 40 saves for the Oilers, who won the final 3 games of the series. Kevin Fiala had a goal and 2 assists. Sean Dursey, Adrian Kempe, and Philip Denault also scored, and Jonas Korpisalo made 21 saves for the Kings. The Oilers went on the man advantage at 6 minutes into the 3rd period, while holding a 4-3 lead. The puck came to Skinner, and he had time to clear it, but his blade had cracked, allowing Denault to skate in and score short-handed to tie it 4-4. Yamamoto brought the puck from below the goal line and above the left faceoff circle before spinning and shooting through traffic to score the game winner. Oilers 5, Kings 4.
Thanks, Tyler. And that's all we have got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8:30 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts on our California Today webpage. You can find it at ntd.com/California-today. You can also find all of our top latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.